Hi, I'm Danny from the Glitter to Rose. Today I'm doing something a little bit different and I'm using an image from one of Maremi's books, and I used Liquitex acrylic ink in a different way that I've never used before. I was inspired by the image. I thought, what a gorgeous sort of washy watercolory background it has. And I thought, I've got a gorgeous sepia or Liquitex ink. What if we use that as almost a watercolor background? And I'll pop in some infusion stains, and I think it really worked really beautiful. So I did some resist stamping for the texture because you know me, I love texture, but I wanted an easy texture, and I think that it really came out gorgeously. So I know my mum is probably groaning at the moment. She loves everything colour, and even though it's a very brown sort of a background, I love it. There's all different tones of brown, but they're the types of browns that I gravitate to. Um, yeah, I'm really happy with the result of this page. There's, sort of layers of different browns. I think it works really well. So I'm using Maremi's industrial little personas book. I haven't used this book for a while and I love it. It's steampunk inspired. And like I said, I used just her background for inspiration. So let me know down below what you think. Hit the like button and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Yeah, let's get into it. So I think I'm going to go with this little girl here. I think she's quite gorgeous and I really like the colours in her. I haven't decided how I want to put this page together. I don't often go in with a plan. I sort of let it come together as I'm building it. I think sometimes that's the best way to go about doing it. I just have this torn page ruler. I like using this to trim down a page. I think sometimes it's nicer than having it like a straight edge, especially on these thinner pages. It doesn't really work on the pages that I print myself, but I like them on these magazine type pages. Okay, so we're just going to pop a page out of my art journal. I just have the pages removable and then I can pop them back in. That's looking a little bit too big. I think I might trim it down a little bit more so I can see the background. I might struggle with this off camera. I'll be back when it's trimmed down to size. Okay, so I've grabbed a stamp out and my Misty and just some embossing ink. The top stamp is a stamp by Tim Holtz, and then I've got a couple of one's a texture sort of stamp, and then the other one is star just down the bottom. Um, and this is a good lesson that you really need to need to clean your stamps after you use them. I'm usually pretty good, I have to say, but that one must have slipped away before I cleaned it. I think I'm gonna need to pop that off because I can't stamp it. It was too thick. That's better. So I'm going to do a bit of a resist technique. So I'm going to emboss these in clear. Well, it won't be so clear because that stamp's a little bit dirty. But there's a little bit of a greyish blue in this image, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't worry me too much. Otherwise, I'd start again, but I'm just going to stamp this again. Just when you're using, this is watercolor paper that I'm using, so just make sure that you stamp things a couple of times because watercolor paper is so absorbent. It'll soak up the ink and you want it to be nice and sticky for the embossing powder to stick. Okay, so now I'm just going to use a clear embossing powder and pour it over. I'm going to pop the powder back into the jar. Always put the powder back into the jar before you melt your embossing powder, otherwise you'll melt your good powder as well. I won't bother melting it on camera because you won't be able to see it since it's clear. And then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to try something new. I'm inspired by the background of this girl. And I'm just going to pop a little drop, I think that's all I'll need, of my Liquitex Sepia acrylic ink. And I'm going to water it down with a lot of water. So Liquitex ink is permanent, which I love, but it's also highly pigmented. So I don't want it quite as pigmented as it is. So I'll pop a lot of water in it. And I'm going to paint on the paper, and where I've stamped and embossed, it's going to give a really cool sort of a resist effect. And the more I build up the layers of the ink, the more we'll be able to see the patterns and, you know, where the stamped images are. You'll see anyway while I'm painting. I hope this works. In my mind, I think it should. Okay, so the sepia isn't the exact colour that's behind her, but it sort of matches some of her clothing, like her boots and things. It's just a really nice brown, and I think I'll be able to build it up as well. See already you can sort of see the stamping and the topography sort of come to life. I'm just going to slowly dab this on. I'm going to try adding a little bit of water first and seeing what I think about putting it on a wet surface. And it gives a little bit of a different effect. I think I prefer it on a dry surface more. I'm going to try popping in some Infusions coloured stains, which is just walnut. So this is just a walnut stain. It's by Paper Artsy. I use these a lot. I love them. I love the colour. You can use water to dilute them. I mean to melt the walnut crystals. But I think if I use my Liquitex ink to melt them, I think that would be a really cool effect. I'm just going to have a play and see how it goes. So you can see the walnut crystals there. Now that I've let that side dry, I'm just adding more on top just to layer it. Now I'm just melting those walnut crystals. I like that effect. See, as you add more of this ink, it really brings out the resist stamping. And I don't mind that there's a little bit of blue ink there. You can't really tell too much. I've just been building up layers down in this corner and haven't caught it on camera, But I've been building up the layers and using the walnut stain like I did in the top corner, and it's really picking up a lot of the stamping, as you can tell. Using the walnut stain, it really adds a little bit more depth, a little bit of grunge, and a real sort of that warmthness that the walnut crystals bring. And I just love it. I think you can really see a lot of the layers. I love it. Really enjoying just taking my time and building the layers. I really haven't been buying any supplies lately. And I know that I keep saying it, but I think I really do want more of these infusions. I think all of the infusions come with, um, so if you get different coloured infusions, I think they all come with some walnut stain in them. So they all have that brown base. So the pigments will separate as well. They're really cool. They're by Paper Artsy. Those textural stamps um, have a really interesting look. I like the little white dots. How they're coming, they're showing up. This is fun. I like this. So the girl has a little bit of sort of a rusty tone in her helmet, and I want to include that, but I don't want it to look too rusty. So I've got Infusions Rusty Car powder. So I'm going to include a little bit of this. I don't want a lot. So I'm just putting a little sprinkle in just to add a little bit of a rusty hue without it being too much. That's looking nice. I might pop a little bit on the other side as well. Just pop a little more brown walnut down as well. I like how as the layers dry and then you add another layer, it's you can sort of see the layers on top of each other, even when they're different hues. Sort of even if you're putting like a darker layer on top of a lighter layer, you still see the different layers. That's nice. Oh, that might have gone down a little bit too much rustica. Pop a little bit of walnut on the top. I'll just try and get some of that rusty down on the bottom. See if I can dab some of it off. Oh, that's looking better. Phew. I think I saved it. Alright, I'm going to make a little bit more paint and just finish this up, and then I'll be back when it's finished. Dry it off. Okay, so I've got my Scorched Timber Distressed crayon, and I'm just lightly going around the edge. I don't want too much because I don't think it needs too much, but it's also there's a lot of brown on there, so it probably doesn't need too much edging. I love Scorched Timber. I think it was a great colour to finish up the range. Let's pop a little bit more up this side. Just connect those two edges. I wonder if my camera is picking up all the layers and the nuances of the layers. It's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to glue the girl down and work out the next steps. Alright, so I've just glued down a clock because, well, she's still steampunk. And I don't mind obvious steampunk. I'm thinking that I might go around with my Stabilo Wall pencil because I just feel like she gets a little lost on the busy background. So a little bit of grungy Stabilo Wall. So I'm just going over her with a wet brush. I want to make sure that I'm not only getting the watercolor paper, but also getting the Stabilo Wall on her. So I'm blending it on both pieces of paper. I don't have a brown Stabilo Wall. I bet they make one. I need to get one. As long as it's a nice brown. I could have fussy cut her out, but I really am not one for fussy cutting. So I think it's little details like this that really sort of finish a page and make it stand out. I really do like these Stabilo wall pencils. I like the grunginess of them. I'm gonna pop Wander on. I think that seems like a good term to use. I want like a drip. I don't want to use too much water though. I don't want to reconstitute the background. Oh, I just love it. Look at all the layers. I hope that my camera's picking it all up. I just love it. All right, I'm gonna pop this in my art journal and we'll have a closer look. So happy with it. All right. And here we are, all finished. Have to say, I love it. It only took me just over an hour, and yeah, I think it's stunning. There's lots of texture and interest, even though there's not really a lot of like 3D texture. I didn't build up lots of layers of paper or modeling paste. There's just lots of interest. I really like this technique. I'll definitely use it again. It was lots of fun. I hope that you enjoyed it and you might have learnt something new and you might try it in your artwork. I would love to see what you create. Be sure to hit the thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Thanks so much for watching, and if you watched till the end, I really appreciate it. um, if you're not a subscriber, please think about subscribing. And yeah, till next time. Thanks so much. Bye for now.